again, we all love the stories where everything's wrong, everything's terrible. That usually by the end of the second act, you think things are going well and your character crashes and burns and life gets messy. Something crazy happens and you find the way out and you find the way through, whether it's a crazy Indiana Jones or whether it's a drama, it doesn't matter. It's the same beats along the way. When your story is going bad, when my revelation of God is not correct, for me, it's always like, well, of course it was bad because that's the story I was living. Now, what's the revelation to get out of it? And what's the next beat, if that makes sense?
Joel, you're preaching, man. Holy cow. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey. I'm excited about this podcast. I've been looking forward to it for a minute. Guys, I'm going to introduce to you what I do with the other 60 hours of my week. My brother, Joel, who is my best friend and tries to be funny and says Bob on the screen. I don't think you guys will be able to see that. Is here with me, Tricia and Jeeva, my partners in a company called Deeply Rooted, where we are exploring storytelling that reveals the love of God through film. And I've talked about it in passing, guys. You all know we have a podcast, Rethinking God with Tacos. We're going to talk about that. But most of the folks that watch this podcast hear me talk about the company that I have, this production company that I'm a partner in passing. I bring it up occasionally. But today we're going to go exploring together. So I thought I'd reintroduce myself as a fellow that has been working on screenplays and books with my brother Joel Joel, we've been doing this for 20 some years. Yeah, at least.
No,
Yeah.
you said since you shared a bed together. So.
Yeah.
You've been telling stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's true. And whenever we're introducing ourselves, I use that phrase. Joel and I've been working together since we shared a bed. One time we did share a bed together, guys. And
the last time.
He knows what I'm going to say. He got sick in the middle of the night, and instead of throwing up on the opposite side of the bed, he threw up over me.
Not over, I threw up in his mouth. And the best part about it was my parents came in, and they were all worried about me, and Jason's just there gagging, and nobody cared. But I was never invited back. We never shared a bed again.
Yeah. So anyway, we've been writing stories since then, and I got this, guys. By the way, Tricia made this for us the last time we were all in the space together, Deeply Rooted. Joel is actually going to upload some of the trailers and images that we've been working on over the last several years. If you're listening to this podcast, you may want to actually watch this one because there'll be some fun insights into what we're doing. We meet every Monday at 10:30 a.m. We normally talk business. This is going to be a bit of a different conversation. I'm going to start by saying I am excited to introduce my brother, Joel. He has been on the podcast with our friend, Mark Batters. Joel is my hero. He's the reason all of us are actually sitting at this opportunity called Deeply Rooted right now, because he's the engine that wouldn't quit. I don't know what it was in the water for our folks, Joel, but I was thinking about the other day. I finished Bible college, couldn't make that suit fit for a band. You were at a
YWAM.
Well, you did YWAM, and then you were at a church. You were the youth pastor, and ended up in South Africa starting a film company. And our sister as well. She's a painter and a songwriter. So we all took the right-brained, less traveled road. But my brother's the engine of what we're doing here, and it's been fun over these last few years to realize that what burns in my heart and the heart behind Rethinking God with Tacos and our nonprofit of Family Story is that we would create media or tell stories that reveal the love of God that is transformative, and it's fun to be able to see all these worlds, my worlds, merging in this moment. But Joel, share a little bit about who you are and about what you've been doing, because you're the reason we're all sitting at this table. I'm excited to introduce folks to you.
Yeah, I'm a storyteller, so it's the only thing that I've ever really, Malcolm Gladwell has the 10,000 hour rule that everyone talks about, and I'm like, I only really want to be great at one thing besides, being a good human and husband and father. I want to be a great storyteller. So it hasn't mattered whether I was on the stage or writing or directing. I just want to tell great stories, and it all comes back to God. Like it's everything you guys talk about on your podcast is there a greater revelation? Is God better than we thought? I've listened to a few of them, a handful, but the idea being that like story.
Come on, be honest, Joel. You listened to
I listened to the one that I was on.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was probably my favorite. But the idea of like, for me, it's always what is the best possible story you can tell? What's the best possible story you can live? And whenever I have a bad revelation of God, which I've had many over the years, bad like paradigm or whatever your theological word is for it. I when I realized the story is better, for me, it's never been a big like paradigm shift. Like, oh no, I had the wrong belief. It's like, oh, it's better. Of course it is, because this is a better story.
right.
And that's kind of informed my entire my walk with God, my relationship with my kids and my wife. Like, if something's not working, that means there's something happening in our story, our shared story, that is missing. There's a beat. There's a story beat. There's a climax. There's a valley that we haven't figured out how to navigate through. And for me, telling a great story is like that's you put your character in the worst possible situation to figure out how to get your character out of it. If you look at your relationship with God or your friendships or your family in that way, when something's not going right, then what's the story beat that needs to happen? What's the revelation? Is God better today than he was yesterday? Of course he is, but that's because there's a new revelation. There's a new, again, we all love the stories where everything's wrong, everything's terrible. That usually by the end of the second act, you think things are going well and your character crashes and burns and life gets messy. Something crazy happens and you find the way out and you find the way through, whether it's a crazy Indiana Jones or whether it's a drama, it doesn't matter. It's the same beats along the way. When your story is going bad, when my revelation of God is not correct, for me, it's always like, well, of course it was bad, because that's the story I was living. Now, what's the revelation to get out of it? And what's the next beat, if that makes sense?
Joel, you're preaching, man. Holy cow.
No.
That's your Jason. No.
As we've gotten to know each other over the years, and I want Tricia have you kind of share a little bit about who you are, but also how we met. You've navigated the Clark boys for almost 5 years, and the relationships that we've built over that time, you as well, Jeeva. Almost 5 years ago, a friend of mine, Joel and I were doing what we do, constantly writing good stories and then scrambling, trying to figure out who to get it in front of, how to raise a little bit of money, how to go make it. And a friend of mine mentioned you, Tricia. We connected with you on a phone call and then met in DC, where we shared the vision behind what we were doing. And I say vision loosely. Mostly we told you about all the things that we're writing. And you made the statement, guys, your storytelling is buttoned up, but that's like B to C, but everything from A to B is smoke and mirrors, but I think I can help you with that. You're a visionary, a pioneer, a disruptor, and a good friend who loves God deeply. And that's been our honor to walk with you, but share a little bit about who you are, where you've come from, and feel free to make fun of Joel.
I will never be as good at that as you guys are. The brotherly.
A lifetime of experience, Jason.
Gosh, well, so I moved out of Denver, Colorado, about 5 years ago to North Carolina, and about a couple months after I moved is when I met Jason. I don't know if I need to get into my story, but I ran a nonprofit over there and was headfirst into striving and performance and achieving. It was very successful. It was fun, but I was getting sicker and sicker. And the Lord said, enough, and said, move east. And we chose Charlotte because we knew one person there, and that was Mark Appleyard. So we moved, and I've been here 5 years, and it's been an incredible season, a hard season of healing, and God is so good to introduce me to you guys and to bring this team together. And in that season where there was so much undoing and death, I call it the fall. season.
Right.
And then, winter, you're just sitting there and you don't know what to do. And I feel like I'm moving into spring now, but it's been a really rough season. And throughout the whole time, he gets to define what his looks like and like what good means.
Yeah.
And when I'm, suffering and sick, I didn't think he was very good. Right. When we're in the
Right, yeah.
valleys. And then coming out of it, the incredible deep healing that has come from it. Yeah, you're right. I tend to be visionary strategist. I look at big systems and see justice. I see injustice issues, and that's how I know what to work on next. Is
Right.
highlight something to me, and I'm like, that is so unjust. It should not be that way.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt when I met you two. In the midst of my brokenness, the only thing I could hear was God say, "Just help them." So I did. And I didn't, it was no strength in me to help you. It was entirely the Lord. And I saw what you both carried and the stories that he had put in you guys that the world needed. And it was a grave injustice that they could not come out because of the way that entertainment works and funding.
Yeah.
It's just a hard system to break through. So we met and we strategized and we came up with a vision to rally around. And the last 5 years have been a journey building this thing. And I think we're at a place where your stories are about to release to the world and change people.
I get emotional, Tricia, while you're talking. I'm so it's
Such a crybaby.
it's been a long journey that Joel and I speak to. And this podcast tends to focus on, rethinking our thoughts about God and wrestling through. And I know all of us have done that too. And we're going to talk about that some more. Jeeva, that's how I'm going to introduce you. But along this journey, the discovery of ourselves, I say this all the time on the podcast, the first great shift that happened when I finally got a clear lens regarding who God is, that he's like Jesus, period, full stop, that there's no shadow of turning in the nature of his love. And this is 16 years ago. The first thing he did, the first conversation he had with me is to tell me who I am. And so that's the shift that took place even 16 years ago, where my Heavenly Father said, Jason, let me tell you who you are. And I've been wanting to dream with you for a long time. And I know you've been pushing at these stories for, 20 and 30 years. And so when we met you, Tricia, not only do you have skill and vision, but the way that you partnered with us, even the way you talk about us.
Tricia, it's meeting you that was the catalyst. There's been so many things, and Jason and I have worked together for years. Our careers have been intersecting, intertwining. I've never had an ability to see the big picture or connect the dots, and you did that immediately and connected dots that I didn't even realize were in the same universe. Including even this, what Jason's doing outside of Deeply Rooted is getting more and more integrated and connected, which is pretty awesome because those two things also were pretty parallel tracks in my mind that weren't connected.
I'm grateful to be connected to this group of people as we, and me personally, just have been leaning in. And we're going to share a little bit about what we're doing. But I got to talk about you, Jeeva. I'll say this. I have yes and friends. You guys would be those. But they're the people where I'm like, hey, I have this radical thought about how good God is. That's almost offensive. And I know if I say it in certain circles, it'll get me kicked out. Now these days, I've been kicked out of most places. So, but my yes and friends, I'll bring the idea to them and they'll hear it and they'll go, yeah. And they had the conversation, and you're one of my yes and friends. I know I can call,
Thank you.
throw a deep idea at you, and we'll 20, 30 minutes unpacking it together. So Jeeva, speak a little bit about who you are, where you are, maybe your connection here. And Tricia, you're our connection to Jeeva.
Well, that's all you need to know. Jeeva's going to do a better job introducing herself. But Jeeva and I've known each other for probably 10 years when I think about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, Tricia, I met Tricia going through probably the worst time of my life. So the fact that, and she's been pursuing me since that time, and she's had a lot of grace for me, and just sees me for how God sees me. She's probably one of the people in my life that sees me that way. I too am an emotional person, Jason, so I'll do my best to not make that happen. But met Tricia in 2016. I started a separation from my marriage, which was about a 4-year separation. During that, right at the beginning of that, I basically built a team for a worldwide $1.6 billion company as a traveling worldwide CFO, and built the team, and then they fired me. And so no job, no marriage, or at least the remnants of one. And I started consulting because the main reason I started consulting was because I wanted to be a father to my children, and I was always on the road. And so I made a shift. And Tricia was one of my first clients. We were working on the nonprofit back then. And all of that kind of dismantling of my life, I believe, was one of the most beautiful things that ever happened to me, because what was going on, and I see pretty clearly now, was I was basically reversing the circuit. I was focused on everything on the outside: the marriage, my big house, my church, my friends, golf, country club, all the things. And I realized that wasn't the life that we were given to live as created beings. And so I started to have to live from the inside out versus the outside in.
Right.
And so Tricia left me in Denver in 2021, 2020 or so. And I eventually moved to San Diego. But my background has always been in numbers. And the hard thing about numbers is that it's always about results. It's always about the outside.
Right.
It's not about what's going on the inside. And the more that I focused on results in my life and in my clients' lives, invariably, the more they suffered. And what I came to realize and understand is the biggest secret to being a numbers guy is to focus on what's going on the inside. And so I have a consulting firm called Crossover, and Crossover was founded basically at the midway point through this, this total dismantling and reestablishing of my life in 2019. And Crossover was built because I had a vision to be able to take something that was where someone was today, and they wanted to go somewhere. They had a vision of where they wanted to go, something on the inside, and we would get there. So we would cross over from one point to the other. And so you take something that doesn't exist and bring it into reality. And so Tricia called me up and said, "Hey, I got these two guys I'm working with, and I think there might be something here." And
Who's your favorite?
I said, Tricia is my favorite.
I think they said
that's easy.
We need you. We need you. I don't know.
Yeah, that's easy.
Oh.
Yeah. So, anyway, my skill is numbers, but one of the most beautiful things I love about this group is I really hear what's inside of you and what that vision is inside of you that God put there. And I have ears and eyes to see and hear in the spiritual realm to be able to help bring those things into reality as a numbers person. So, and obviously, I have strategic gifts as well. So it's been a great journey with you all. And this is my first podcast. And before I go any further, I got to say, Jason, you have the best radio voice. It's really cool. I've never noticed it. I've been listening to you talk, on meetings for a while, but when you get in your podcast, there's just something else. So appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a wonderful thing to hear from you. Joel, go ahead and say it, man. I want you to admit it in a public.
It's never going to happen. Your voice is fine. Yeah, but your voice is, it doesn't hurt my ears. It's fine.
For the longest time, when we would work together and we needed voiceover, Joel would do it, and I'd be like, "Bro," and he would never admit that my voice was better than his.
He's got that inner creative voice that is beautiful.
Whenever someone compliments me on my voice, I'm like, "Thanks, Mom and Dad," because it had nothing to do with it. But let's do this. DeeplyRootedStories.com is where you can check out And we're going to start talking about some of the storytelling that we're doing. But let me say this, the purpose, an impact-driven development and production studio that tells stories to strengthen families, right? My ministry, the family story. Yeah, you proud of me? I got all
The
these
elevator pitch.
rooted in love, ready to soar. The 4 pillars of our business is to honor family, reveal love, build character, and inspire wonder. And it's been powerful as we've begun to put this together. Joel and I, of course, are spending most of our time still getting to create and write. And I joke, but it's what I do with my other 60 hours. It's been a wonderful privilege. And then we know that we're building something that is longevity. We're in the long game, as I say on this podcast a lot. But maybe speak to some of the vision and what you're burning for, Tricia, because we're carrying the same heart for family and impact. And I know you can speak to that.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys, when I met you, I remember the few hours we were sitting in Panera trying to get to the root of it all, your vision. And I don't know if you guys at that time could have articulated how much you cared about family and children. And I know Jason could in a different way, but in your films and in your stories. And so that's deeply rooted. And then so I do too. And I know Jeeva does too. So it's really cool that God has brought this team together, and we all are very, very passionate about families and connecting children with their parents and creating safe stories that everybody can watch together that makes them stronger and better together. So much of what we do is about identity and purpose. Speaking identity and purpose into kids and adults. A lot of it is that connecting. My passion is I ran a nonprofit that in Denver that was in the education space, but primarily was building the character and changing the paradigms of children or teens really around leadership. And we called it generous leadership. And we had some classes even for the parents. And one of the classes we would teach these parents, like, we all know you love your kids. You love them. We all love our kids.
Right.
But do you like them? And do they know that you like them? And enjoy them? And I think that a lot of parents were actually shocked to hear about that paradigm. They just hadn't thought about it. And the way that you grow and like one another is spending time together. And that time has to include play. It has to be adventures and creativity and lightness and opportunities to just see one another, connect with one another on a deeper level, and so that you can enjoy each other and not just live in this chaotic kind of tailspin that a lot of families are in of just survival and achievement and did you get your homework done and did you all of these things. And it's really, in the end, that's not the story we want to tell our children and the story that we want to build our families on for like long-term generational change. So I see things through stories in that way too, but like the story I want my kids and I tell my family over and over through what I do and what I say is, I love you. I really, really like you. I love being around you. There's probably nobody else. There's no one else in the world that I would rather be with than you. And your connection, my connection with you, with my children and my husband is the most important thing. And so they know that when they come into the home, they're safe, they're seen.
Yeah.
So that's my passion. And I want every family to have the opportunity to grow in those ways. So deeply rooted is very much the stories that we tell. We tell ourselves and we tell our family, and then the stories that we release in the world. The truth is we become the stories that we believe.
Yeah.
Personally and system-wise as a family or in society. If you're believing lies about who your children are or what your family is, or your generational family, whatever, if you're believing lies in society about the world around you, tell yourself, go new stories, go find better stories.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to tell you about something we've been working on. As you know, the vision of a family story, our ministry is to create media or tell stories that are catalytic for an encounter with the love of God. That's why my brother Joel and I have been writing a new book series called I Changed the World. It's for kids between the ages of 8 and 12. Most of our kids already know the names David, Miriam, Adam, Rahab. They've heard the Sunday school versions. But what if those stories could come alive in a new way that ignites imagination and inspires encounter with God's love? A world where David is a 12-year-old boy alone on a field, learning to hear God's voice. Where Miriam is a little girl watching her world fall apart and choosing to trust that God is good. Where Adam opens his eyes for the first time to discover and explore a world made entirely for him by Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. One of my favorite things about these books is that every one of them has a chapter titled The Stranger. You'll especially love this Jesus lens. Guys, my brother and I have been working on this a long time. We have an amazing team around us, and we're launching 6 books this August, and it's just the beginning. And right now, the Tacos community gets early access. Here's how it works. You can get the first book in the series, David, and pay whatever you can. Or you can pre-order the full 6-book set at a price we've set as low as possible. Either way, your purchase helps us get these stories into the hands of kids and families. Guys, I believe these are stories you and your kids can connect around. In fact, I know they are. I've heard the feedback. Okay, pause this episode for 30 seconds and go to the website, iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Get the David book, pay what you can, then come back. Again, that's iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, pastor, teacher, aunt, uncle, this series will engage and encourage the kids in your life to imagine faith, courage, failure, redemption, and what it means to change the world. 6 books releasing this August with many more to follow. So go now and get your copy of David, pay what you can. And again, the website is iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. That's iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. All right, back to the podcast.
Come on.
That's right.
This is so good, Tricia. That's the stuff. It gets me excited. And what you guys have done, what we've done here has been able to put a clarity around how to best do this. You know, I have a ministry called A Family Story. Joel changed his production company to A Family Story. It was burning in us, but we didn't have the ability to be where we are today. I want to speak to what you said though, because this is, I wrote this down. This is the philosophy of story. They shape belief shapes identity shapes behavior shapes culture.
Yes.
And I think that's the burning vision behind who we are. So that we get to celebrate family, reveal love, inspire courage, and awaken imagination. And Joel, this is your wheelhouse. Joel's the best storyteller now. It flows out of him naturally. He's the favorite of my kids. He would come visit when they were littles, and I knew at some point he was going to head upstairs to tell them the bedtime story, and he was going to tell 20 times better than Dad. And it would be loud. There'd be crashing and screaming. And if I poked my head in, one of them would be on his shoulders and the others would have pillows and, about to hit them. And because they became the characters, my brother is about high adventure and releasing imagination. And so that's what we're doing. And I don't know, should we talk about some of the films and some of what we're doing right now?
Yeah.
Jeeva, what's your favorite? We have 4 projects that we've worked on all last year.
Yeah.
What's your
I would say, I'll tell the story. All In is my favorite. We had a lot of iterations on the script, and I'm sure you guys will tell those stories and some of those details. But when you sent the final script over, I went to this wine bar near my house, and I was reading it and just having a glass of wine. It was the end of the day, and as I got, in various places in the script, I just could not stop crying. I was just weeping at the bar. Everybody thought I was nuts. And that vision of me sitting in that chair having that story meet me, right where I was at. And that's obviously why I think I was emotional in that moment, was because the story met me. And so I would say All In is my favorite. So I look forward to you all talking about it.
So All In is our feature film. It is the first project that Joel and I tried to write probably 9 or 10 years ago, where we said, okay, we're going to write together. We had our biggest fights as we learned how to trust each other. Joel's the what, when, where, how guy. I'm the why guy. And here's the hardest part. The parents passed away in the very beginning of this film. So it's a heartbreak.
Yeah, a great Disney movie.
Yeah. Great Disney movie. But it's had many iterations. Also, just so you know, our first family reunion, we have these conferences. You guys haven't been, but Tricia, you've come.
Yes,
You've been.
I used to a couple of years ago.
Yes. Joel, you didn't come, and Jeeva, in fairness, you don't, on the other side of the country. But our first one, we finished that, and I literally got in a car with my daughter and my son to drive to DC to film for 6 days a 15-minute short film that was a proof of concept for this. That was our first big project together. I would say that would be 2.5 years ago. So Joel's actually going to add some of the scenes probably from that in. So again, if you're listening to this, you may want to watch. But share a little bit about the story, Joe.
Yeah, All In is we partnered with Mark Batterson, who's a good friend of Jason's and mine, and has been an investor and a mentor and a friend and all these things. And he's got a book called All In. It's like a trade book, so it's not like your story book, but it's a Christian living book on how to live all in. It's inspirational, but there's some great stories in there, and connected with Mark, so he's involved. And then we written this thing and rewritten it maybe 100 times. It wouldn't surprise me. And I know everyone listening, or at least half of you, are fans of Jason. So Jason and I would write together, and for years, and he still, even just so you know how we work together, he'll still say, "Do you have to be so mean when you disagree?" And I still say, "Yes, I do." But so he is very tender. He's a very tender man. But we've gone back and forth so many times, and this last iteration, which I know Jeeva is meaningful, you've mentioned it a few times. We brought in some external help. We just there's certain things that we needed to get feedback on that we weren't cracking, and it was not a fun process. It was actually probably the hardest process of writing that I've ever been a part of, because I don't like it when people criticize me like I criticize Jason. But it was also a beautiful process where the scripts, just the missing pieces that weren't quite working, came together, and it's turned into just this beautiful thing. It actually got on the blacklist, 2025 blacklist, which is, it's people don't know what that means, but if you're a New York Times bestselling author, blacklist is more impressive than that. Like it's something that I never expected in my career, never thought, I never even would have submitted to the blacklist. It wasn't even a thought that I had because of all the politics that go with it. And this script was chosen. So that was exciting. And it's now sitting with a few. I mean, I don't know if you want to say where it's sitting with, Jay, or
No,
there's a lot of potential.
It's sitting in our studios right now. If you're pray for us that we see this across the finish line. We have an incredible production team behind it. Part of what we do is we develop the story, then we bring the producers on board. We get everything buttoned up so that it's ready to be made, and then we have producers that help us sell it. And Joel and I want to direct this. I'll tell you what the story is, but before I do that, Joel's the most stubborn man I know. I'm actually stubborn. But when we work together, if he has an idea, this is how it has to go. If he has an idea, it is the best idea that has ever existed in the universe of ideas.
For 3 days.
For 3 days. So you have to ride it out. So if I'm gonna push back on something, I have to ride out. I know 3 days from now is going to be more open to the idea of, but it's not 3 days anymore, Joel. It's more like 1 day. Yeah,
I'm getting better.
Yeah.
When I first met Joel, he says, "You know what, Tricia?" I didn't know him at all, and he was like, I always think I'm right, and I usually am." That was
That
was his intro.
I was confident.
But I will say, Joel's again he's the ideas guy. Like I lean on him. He can write a story in a week where it'd take me a month or even two. And it's so much fun writing. All In is a story about a family where three children lose their parents at the very front of this. And an estranged aunt who is a little odd ends up with the kids, and she feels unqualified. She has to deal with some issues in her past, and she has to do a road trip with the kids. So it's the reforming of a family. But here's the part that would probably have you crying, Jeeva. It was the part that every time I had to write, it would have me crying. The dad, and this is the Mark Batterson character actually, is a first-time author and has just written this book called All In. And he's about to go a book road tour to celebrate the launch. And he records a series of videos that are set up to release every day, telling his listeners and his readers where the tour is going to be, and to speak to them a little bit from the book, which is inspiring. So now you've got, at the beginning of this film, Mom and Dad literally are starting the tour, and they get in a car accident, and so they pass away. So we drop into this story where the aunt is with the kids on a road trip that ultimately ends where they were all supposed to meet. And every morning they get video blogs from the grave, essentially, from Dad, and sometimes from Mom. It's a powerful story. It is a faith-forward story.
And it's fantastical in the fact that the aunt, she's pretty broken when we first meet her. She lives in her head, but she's the best storyteller than anyone's ever met. I don't know who she was fashioned after, but she's a beautiful storyteller.
Quirky.
But it's a little bit like Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's a little bit,
Walter Mitty.
Yeah, we see what's in her head. She lives in this alternate reality. We see where she sees these fantastical things around her all the time.
Feel your presence in your absence. Shut the door.
And her only real way that she connects with the world is through storytelling. So she's got these three broken kids, 15, 12, and 8, who are they've just lost their parents, and they have an aunt who's doesn't know how to even relate, and the only way she can relate is through storytelling. So it's this road trip, but it's also this fantastical, beautiful story of a family forming out of tragedy. And it's not that depressing. It sounds depressing, but it's actually great fun.
And by the way, what clips were shown, my daughter plays the oldest child. If you see some of this, I think Joel's going to probably show the library scene, which was a lot of fun to shoot in D.C. at the Daughters of the American Revolution Library.
You're so angry all the time.
Do whatever just to stay alive.
Mom and Dad.
The way I feel is the way I ride.
God.
Like the thoughts of a man who lies.
I haven't had faith in a long time. And I don't know how God's goodness works. But I know what it looks like. And it's beautiful.
Look into the sun as a new day goes by.
Please don't leave us.
That is probably our front story. Again, we have an amazing team, producer around it. Probably as much as we can say about it. There's 3 other projects that I want to share briefly before we shift toward tacos. And I know that eventually we're going to get there. It's in the title, guys. But I know maybe you want to speak about a family story, or
Maybe.
or we can pick up on June. We have 3 other projects. I can talk about I Changed the World.
I'm not sure we're going to have time to talk about all 4 of them in depth, but we can try. But a family story. just because Jason and Joel wanted to confuse everybody more and make a third thing with the title of Family Story. And this one is not the nonprofit or the film production. It is a company. It is it's a children's series called A Family Story. And each episode is a children's book, essentially. So it's edutainment, it's literacy based, and story within a story within a story, kind of like Princess Bride or Never Ending Story, where they're reading the book and then they enter the book. So every episode, a grandpa or anyone who's chosen by the book to read it, but they enter into this library space, this magic room, and they read this storybook that is the book that contains all children's stories that have ever written. And as they read it, they enter into the story and it unfolds for the children. So it's very high adventure. It's full of wonder and imagination. And what's cool is the context within the context. It allows us to really like lean on the story for lessons, but then the external of this is packaged within a family. So we can see family dynamics and how families love one another and play together. And so it's meant to, there's so many different facets, but it's an example for parents who want to read to their children more and set up families kind of in this type of playfulness and fun. But then it's also just edutainment, educational for the kids, and also speaks to their identity and their purpose. And this is like ongoing. This can go forever, just like Sesame Street. There is no end to the stories that we can tell with A Family Story. I think it's going to be a cornerstone piece for children and a franchise where there will be merchandise and parents can purchase the books that were, season 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
They can start building their library. So it's very exciting for children to have something that's safe. We would call this faith adjacent, but we're gonna probably slide in a few things here and there about God, or pick some stories that are a little bit more overt. But we want to reach all of kids and all of families out there, and we want to be the truth tellers to them, to tell them like who they really are and that they are loved deeply.
What if media could do more than distract or entertain?
You hear that? Someone's in here.
What if it could heal and transform families?
Hey, when did you get in here? I'm surprised I missed you. Well, come on in here and warm yourself. You've got to be freezing.
Oh my, I thought I'd be the first to arrive. I do hope you haven't been waiting long.
A Family Story is where children's books roar to life and family becomes an adventure guide.
Hold on!
Crispin roared, but instead of fire, a burst of golden cakes flew out.
This incredible, humble wolf!
That very night, in Max's room, a forest grew. And grew!
This is not just another children's show. Each episode weaves awe-inspiring stories with faith-centered truths.
The jungle rhythm setting him free.
A Family Story celebrates meaningful connections and deeply rooted love, reminding parents and children alike that the greatest story that's ever lived is family. A Family Story, where books come alive and family is forged.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun podcast. The other two odd projects, a high adventure called Juno in the Jungle, and it's
That's your favorite, right? One of your favorites.
that, and I Changed the World. But yeah, Juno in the Jungle, as far as our films, I think is going to be fun. It's an 8-episode. Imagine a young Indiana Jones, but set in today. It's kids again, probably between the ages of 12 and 14, and they find themselves
A young Indiana Jones who's a female. By the way. Key element, which I think is beautiful and I love. So And I can afford to chime in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a young Indiana Jones. She has an American dad, a South African mom. Every summer they go to their grandpa's lodge at the Safari Lodge in South Africa. That's kind of the backstory. She's brilliant with animals. Her kind of clumsy cousin comes with her, and her best friend, Zulu kid. And Kali, one of my best friends in the world is named Kali. I spent 10 years in South Africa, and my daughter's name is Juno, so Juno in the jungle. And all these worlds kind of came together, and it's just high adventure. It's the first season, 6 episodes, and it is, when we say it's Indiana Jones-esque, I mean, we are literally stealing from Indiana Jones in our film style and our camera style and our, it's just super, super fun. Like, it's just a wild ride.
And it's not just for kids. So it's like Goonies or, those coming of age where
Yes,
like families and adults would love it as well.
yes, they're flying biplanes and jumping off of hot air balloons. There's car chases through the
Exotic animals everywhere.
wild animals. It is high adventure. And then the last one, and this is something that has been near and dear to me and Joel and the whole team now, Bible stories, 10,000 word books that are high adventure for the ages of 8 to 12, modeled around the I Survived series. And we're trying to tell the stories of, some are famous Bible characters, maybe less famous Bible characters, but trying to find a way to tell a story of them at that age. So we've got 6 that we're working on right now. Benaiah, Adam, Zechariah, John the Baptist's dad, David, Rechab, and
Miriam.
Yeah. And these are going to be available later this year. And my favorite thing about these guys is, we talk a lot about having a Jesus lens or a Christological lens, that our hermeneutic is actually Jesus. He's what God looks like, and the best way to understand how to interpret scripture and life. And in every one of these books, I get giddy. In every one of these books, the stranger, Jesus, has a chapter where he shows up. And in the Rahab story, he shows up just before the walls come down. It fits into what's happening in Rahab's life. But also, you're able to give a Christological view. Like, Jesus is there, and he's, Jericho, how I love you, Jericho. Talks about how there's a day coming when the sons and daughters of Jericho will sit at the Father's table. And so what's fun for me is the relational theologian hat I get to wear very directly. And we're going to have curriculum for churches. This is another project we're partnering with Mark Batterson on. And I know that Tricia and Karen have been working on the curriculum. It's incredible.
Really good. Yeah.
And so that's a project that...
Well, and it has a video component because we're living in this world of AI that you can do pretty crazy, fun videos. That it's not just a book. That every page has beautiful pictures depicting the story. And then there's 5 or 6 little mini vignettes, stories that will kind of amplify the best moments. If they're loving reading it, they'll be able to go online and watch videos of some of their favorite moments from the book. And it's so much more than just a book.
kidding me right now? How do you not see the massive angel standing right over there?
So yeah, the book comes alive for kids, and we are doing these church curriculums, which the curriculum is more based on the formation of a child by looking at these characters in the Bible, which is a beautiful way to go about teaching and learning in our churches. But then we're also going to release a version for homeschool. So if there are parents who ever want to go deeper in these sorts of lessons, then that will be available as well.
I mean, I'll say this. I read David yesterday or the day before. And so first of all, the idea that it's just for children, I know that's where we're focused, but the book spoke to me as a father and a father of 3 children, but also as a child, it spoke to me. I want to read just a really short part of David that really kind of resonates with me relative to what I talk about the inside, listening on the inside, not using our physical senses, which eventually will leave us as we, go to be our eternal self. And this is when David was a shepherd early in the story. And it says, David leaned back against the tree and let out a long, slow breath. He closed his eyes and listened. Yes, he used his physical ears, but it was much more than that. He listened with his entire being. Though hard to explain, in these moments, he felt Yahweh's love, as though God was a good father who was pleased with him.
Hey guys, I'm so excited to tell you about something we've been working on. As you know, the vision of a family story, our ministry is to create media or tell stories that are catalytic for an encounter with the love of God. That's why my brother Joel and I have been writing a new book series called I Changed the World. It's for kids between the ages of 8 and 12. Most of our kids already know the names David, Miriam, Adam, Rahab. They've heard the Sunday school versions. But what if those stories could come alive in a new way that ignites imagination and inspires encounter with God's love? A world where David is a 12-year-old boy alone on a field, learning to hear God's voice. Where Miriam is a little girl watching her world fall apart and choosing to trust that God is good. Where Adam opens his eyes for the first time to discover and explore a world made entirely for him by Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. One of my favorite things about these books is that every one of them has a chapter titled The Stranger. You'll especially love this Jesus lens. Guys, my brother and I have been working on this a long time. We have an amazing team around us, and we're launching 6 books this August, and it's just the beginning. And right now, the Tacos community gets early access. Here's how it works. You can get the first book in the series, David, and pay whatever you can. Or you can pre-order the full 6-book set at a price we've set as low as possible. Either way, your purchase helps us get these stories into the hands of kids and families. Guys, I believe these are stories you and your kids can connect around. In fact, I know they are. I've heard the feedback. Okay, pause this episode for 30 seconds and go to the website, iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Get the David book, pay what you can, then come back. Again, that's iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, pastor, teacher, aunt, uncle, this series will engage and encourage the kids in your life to imagine faith, courage, failure, redemption, and what it means to change the world. 6 books releasing this August with many more to follow. So go now and get your copy of David, pay what you can. And again, the website is iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. That's iChangeTheWorldOffer.com. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. All right, back to the podcast.
Well done, boys. Good job.
Oh my goodness, it gets me emotional. It's so good. What do you want to hit, Tricia? I had this whole thing with we're rounding third certainly, but the 5 hidden themes of Deeply Rooted was fun. Belonging before performance. Family as the context of transformation, imagination as a gateway to truth, courage in the face of chaos, and legacy across generations. That resonates so deeply in my heart. But I've been looking forward to introducing you all. And
who's your favorite?
Well, Tricia.
Can I speak to the business side of it real brief?
Yes, that's what that's why I was saying I need to throw this to Tricia.
Well, if there's anybody in the audience who cares more about, this, I mean, everyone's going to care about the products and the films and the things that we're creating. But what's really unique about Deeply Rooted, and Joel or Jason touched on this earlier, is that a lot of these creators, they're kind of one-offs. They get an idea, they write a script, and then they go scramble for the money. And it's really hard to find money in this industry. And so we built a studio where we can create a slate of products and we can start building momentum. And as this momentum builds and builds and builds, it's going to snowball, and it's going to catapult future slates and future projects and future teams. So this is just slate one that you've heard about. We have an investment vehicle that Jeeva has been very involved in and helping us build. For anybody who wants to invest in these 4 projects, what's cool is you don't invest project by project. You invest in all the slate, which diversifies, spreads out the risk. We even have a vehicle because we're so impact oriented. With Deeply Rooted, I mean, we exist to shift narratives, to shift stories in individuals' lives and families and in society. And so we have a way to pull in funds that are impact funds. So those who have given charitable funds into, donor advised funds or whatever, but they're charitable money that's to be given away to nonprofits. We've made a way for Deeply Rooted to receive from those in the form of investment, so that, the parable of the talents, people who give to, not that there's anything wrong, I ran a nonprofit, but when you give to a nonprofit, usually that money is consumed. But in our case, they can invest using charitable funds into Deeply Rooted, and that money grows and multiplies exponentially back into the kingdom, and then just gets redistributed because it's charitable capital. Like it's redistributed to new things, and creates almost like an endowment for Deeply Rooted. That's that snowball that I was talking about. That just we continue to grow and continue to grow. And we're multiplying that seed, that talent, so that these stories can go out. And our vision too is that there are a lot of creatives that God has put stories in different ways, whether they're, cameramen or, all the different cast and crew and different types of positions. And we want Deeply Rooted to be a place where they can come. We aren't there yet, so don't flood Jason's inbox with asks for that, but to be a place where they can come, and we're sowing into families. So that's Deeply Rooted. Jeeva, do you want to add anything to that?
No, it's exciting to be in a position where if you are interested, you can put your money in and have it seed 4 different projects as opposed to just one. And so, that's exciting to me. I know it's exciting to the 3 of you, but as we share more, we can see how it's been exciting to others. So looking forward to it.
I really do believe it was a God strategy that, we all do, that we have been prayerfully exploring, honestly, for years. Yes, traditional investing is one way that it works, but the impact investment you're talking about, Tricia, and we've already been doing this for the last year. We had an incredible
lead investor,
who invest a significant amount of money, allow for us to develop all of these projects, and then his heart is that the return on that investment, and it was a tax write-off too. So there's that element to this. That I'm the wrong person to be explaining this, but the bottom line is that it can roll over, and that's what he would like to do. Is that we make a film, the profit from that comes back, and then he can reinvest again in that impact fund.
It always goes back into the DAF, the donor advised fund, where the charitable capital lives. It never goes back to benefit a person, because that would be illegal. It's charitable capital. It's just one way that people can multiply their seed for the kingdom. Mm-hmm.
I love you guys.
That was fun.
This is fun. I'm so honored and excited to be doing this. And, we have this podcast and it's a beautiful community. All these folks that are on their own journey, like us, becoming more convinced that he's good. Maybe wrestling ideas of separation. We talk about union on this podcast all the time. I've been wanting to have this conversation. I've been wanting to have you guys on. I've been wanting to introduce the rest of the story, as they say, and have the opportunity to merge the two worlds. So this has been really fun. I think we need to talk tacos.
Jeeva, you go first because you got to run.
What are we talking specifically? My favorite taco?
Yeah, what's your favorite taco?
I wasn't prepared to answer this. I need to think about this. I make a really good taco. So my favorite taco is the taco that I made for my kids when they were growing up. And this it's embarrassing, but it's not healthy. But basically, it's ground beef, and then I throw in my secret ingredient, which is extra hot paste picante, and we mix that up. Throw a couple other things in there, and then I fry. The key is to fry the corn tortilla, and then you put it on there. You put a little. I throw a little chopped lettuce or spinach on there for vegetables. It's just lip service, and then some cheese, and you go to town.
So did the kids think it was special?
Well, yeah. Yes, I think they did think it was special.
The secret ingredient.
I think they were, well, no, because I didn't do anything to hide it.
Okay.
It's a great ingredient.
I'm laughing because I became famous in my house because one day there was mashed potatoes left from the night before, and I made them like a pancake, put a bunch of skillet and fried them and called them potato pancakes. And I became famous for my potato pancakes.
Sometimes the best things are just the simplest things.
My kids would tell people, "You've
ground
got to try
beef
my
and jar paste picante."
Right. Try paste picante. You got to try my dad's potato pancake.
Sharon,
they make elaborate meals, and I make potato pancakes. Tricia, your favorite taco?
When I was in high school, I went on a mission trip to Mexico, and we were in the middle of nowhere, and there was a taco guy on the corner of, I don't even know if it was a real road, and the whole group of high school kids went into this little taco shop and sat right at his grill, and it was like steak and cilantro and all the fresh red onion and all of that. And I would say best taco I've ever had. Also a big risk because you never know the water they used or how long the meat was sitting out, but no one got sick. And I still remember it to this day. I've tried to copy it a few times.
Do it for the story. Yeah. There's a lot of Mexican taco stories that you can imagine on this podcast. All right, Joel.
Yeah, we're huge fans of spice in my house. So my kids have learned a good taco burns twice, because that's been the joke since they were little. But the other fun thing since they're little is I taught my daughter Juno to put what we called Hamas, before that was offensive, I think, before that was timely. But so she puts Hamas on her tacos, which is our secret ingredient is putting hummus on the tacos, which is surprisingly very good. Yeah,
I like it. And Joel and I, we grew up. I think you said this last time. Mom made a taco salad with Fritos, a deconstructed taco, which fits well for this podcast. But we called it Skull Valley because the recipe came from Skull Valley, Arizona. So for the longest time, Joel and I referred to taco salad as Skull Valley. And
it's still our favorite meal in our house.
Yeah. Rice, ground beef, Fritos, cheese, lettuce, tomatoes,
mountain of taco.
Yeah. All right, guys. I love you. Deeplyrootedstories.com is where you can check out everything we've been talking about. Or at least get a glance. It's been an honor to be able to connect with the Rethinking God with Tacos audience and the Deep Rooted team. This is a merging of worlds, and I'm thrilled that we got to do it. And if you would like more information or know about any type of investors. I mean, that's we're in that spot right now. We're set up on all 4 of these projects, and we're expecting big things this year. So
now's the time to get in.
yeah, it's good. I agree. I'm excited. Love you guys. We'll do this again. I think.
Too.
But,
that was fun.
Enjoyed it. I'll see you Monday and Tuesday.
This is my favorite podcast now. This one.
I know. This is my rookie podcast experience. First time,
bro. You killed it. You brought the actual reading of.
I brought visual aids.
You killed it, man. You're a pro already.
I was prepping this morning.
That's amazing.
Love you guys.
Bye.